Happy Tuesday, everybody. As long as it's still Tuesday, I don't know if Australia's like turned over yet or not. I don't know. Maybe Jake's in the chat. He can let us know. But welcome, you guys. This is the Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff YouTube channel. My name is Dan. This live stream is called The Doctor's Orders, and I'm with the doctor himself. And I'll give a little bit more of an intro here. But first, I want to check in, see if we have anything different than last week. Nick, genuinely here asking, not just putting it out there as like polite talk. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Been a hectic day so far.
Yeah.
Just one of those days. Honestly, I talk about this all the time, but I very rarely point it out. Is today's one of those mornings where I was kind of just looking forward to this stream today. I was like, okay, get through all this, and then we can just get on the stream, have some good vibes, some good talks.
Oh yeah. No, I'm kind of right there with you. And I know you had a rougher week last week after the crazy weekend and concert and festival. Oh my goodness. Mine, I'm doing good. I was literally looking for this as like a jolt of like energy because last night I got about 3 hours of sleep. Now, part of it's on me, which I'll admit in a second, but also part of it is on the universe and not me. Part of it for me is I had Command's Corner, went to about 11:30 last night, and then I got done. And of course I was hungry, worked up an energy and was talking to people about food and questions and all that type of stuff. And Sam was asleep, kids were asleep, blah, blah, blah. Well, Sam, I'm going to blame this one on her. It's actually me. She had made some amazingly delicious looking gluten-free brownies, and she had just went to the store and bought ice cream. So I'm done with this stream. I am starving. I was talking about apple pie on the stream, and I come upstairs and I'm staring at a massive platter of brownies and then some fresh unopened ice cream. And
that's a recipe for disaster at midnight.
I could not, and it was because the stream got over at 11:30. I had to get everything done. It was Beauty and the Beard, so Sam's shop. So I reached out to all the winners to start the conversation, just like Jill does in an amazing way. And so it was probably about midnight, 12:15 by the time I get up there, and then I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay. And I knew I had this talk with myself. I'm like, this isn't gonna be good. You're gonna regret this, but it was looking so good. So I smashed, and then I sat there. And then there was a comedy on that I wanted to watch. And so I was a little bit like laughing, giggling. And then I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, I need to get to bed. My hard line was 1 o'clock. I'm like, at 1 o'clock, maybe the kids will let me sleep into 7. I'll be good with 6 hours, right? So 1 passes, 1:30 passes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I fell asleep about 1:45. And then come about 3 hours later, 4:30, 4:45, Violet. She wakes, of all days, she's been great for like a year. And of all days to wake up, she wakes up crying. She says she has to go potty. That's one thing I'm like, I can't ever like deny that or cry wolf, because the one time you don't go up there, then she actually goes. And so I go up, I put her down. Now she's adorable. She's sweet. She's sad. She doesn't want me to leave. I try leaving. She erupts into a riot and everybody else needs to sleep. So I'm like, okay. So I crawl, and we've never had our kids in our bed, and we kind of like draw that line. So I crawl into her literal little princess bed, and I try to get some sleep, and just wasn't having it. So about 6:15, we roll downstairs and start watching some Puppy Dog Pals together. And so I was going on about 3 hours, partly my fault, mostly my fault, but partly the universe there too. So I was like, all right, I'm okay. I'm not feeling crazy, just a little bit like, here then. I'm like, this stream's going to give me energy. Come on, let's go. Let's get it going,
man. Well, that's what it does. It pumps me up every time we do it. Like I say, if I'm having a bad day, this is something I look forward to. So this is definitely one of those situations, I guess, for both of us. It's going to be, get some motivation, get some good thoughts rolling around, kick things into gear.
Exactly. And it really does that. And I hope you guys that are watching now or you're watching in the future and you guys leave comments, it really does like ignite a lot of stuff in us, whether it's just the energy and the excitement and it's like, okay, let's get to work, or if it's straight up like ideas. And speaking of ideas, one thing that I want to point out to you guys that Dr. Nick's has going on right now, which is really cool, is on their Instagram. This is an Instagram exclusive. So if you don't have Instagram, understood. But this one, we try to do things on stream, on all sorts of things. This one is for Instagram here. There is a contest that's going on, and it is a beard collection contest for for Dr. Nix. So it's showing off however you display, however you store your products. If you want to set it up, if you want to put a little scene to it, even if it's not how you normally do it, that's awesome. And the key thing here is it is not based on the biggest collection. It's not based on the nicest setup. It's based on creativity and just standing out, just making something pop. And all of these posts will get shared in the stories. And then on Monday, this hasn't been announced anywhere else, not even on my platform yet. On Monday, Dr. Nick's Amazing Man Stuff will be the feature on Commands Corner. So we will have that winner will be announced on Monday on top of 5 different amazing giveaways on the Command Corner live stream. So we are very, very excited. And yes, as Jill's saying in the chat, loving these submissions. You guys are amazing.
Oh man, there's some good ones.
They're so good, and you guys are so good at taking pictures and just like setting it up and the pop. It's so dang good, so dang good. I couldn't agree anymore, Joe. I love it, and it's got to be kind of crazy for you guys to see because this is your baby. Like these are things that you two physically came up with. Mentally came up with. Jill put them in packages, sent them out to people. Now they have them. They're displaying them. They're proud of them. That's got to be a really cool kind of feeling and experience.
It is. And it's actually, the first time we started seeing photos come back from social media, just, like a year ago or so of people's collections or how they were displaying our products. I mean, it was one of those like ethereal kind of experiences where like you see something that you're used to seeing, like you're used to seeing it in your shop and your bathroom and that kind of thing. But seeing how other people are adopting it and then how, the like you said, it's not the amount of stuff that really does it, but sometimes people just have either a bunch of stuff and it's like, whoa, or it's just so thoughtfully displayed and laid out. It's like, wow, people are proud not only to use this stuff, but they're proud to own it. Like they're proud to display it. And that's just like a huge sense of pride for us. Yeah. Like seeing something like this.
So
it's
cool.
Like, man, like our retailers don't even display our stuff as nicely as this. And it's literally amazing to see.
Literally, it's so dang cool. And a little spoiler, an additional, we're all about spoilers today, you guys. An additional spoiler, next week's show is going to be all about products display, product storage, the best ways to store them to make them last the longest, and questions like, hey, is there anything different because these are essential oils? Is there anything different because these are clear bottles? There are dropper tops. We're going to go into detail on all that stuff, but also we want to just kind of show off the displays that you guys have here. And I mean, it's just truly amazing once you start to see some of these develop. We'll kind of run through them. You got one there. Look at this shot. Like, tell me that's not a professional shot,
That's a winner.
And right here too. And some of these have already expired on there, but they're all saved, you guys. Oh, look at that stud. Look at that stud.
Beard out the window.
Yeah. And again, guys, if you don't have if you are not following on Instagram, there's some really cool stuff. There's oftentimes some random giveaways that happen on Instagram. So keep that in mind. And then you just get to see cool pictures like this, like Aztec god Nick over here looking like he's like the god of rain. That's what I'm going with. It is the god of rain right there.
Gotta love the honeymoon shot.
Oh yeah. So it's oh, look at this dad joke. How are you doing?
How you doing?
And Rick is bringing up a good point here. So one of the things that Dr. Nix does offer, and Nick makes these personally himself, is these product display bases, which I'll show here in a second. But one thing that has been mentioned by Rick, and he's got the pen ready, has been mentioned by Rick and a few other people is, hey, like, okay, we see these. What about like an oil only display? What if it's like 3 oils or 6 oils or whatever the case may be? Maybe like diagonally slanted across that display so you can see the front, but also the side. I think that would be really cool, Rick.
I think that'd be super cool. And I think, I'd actually like, since we got everyone's attention on that topic, better than a poll, do it here live.
Yeah.
How many oils would people like to see them hold? I mean, in my mind, kind of goes for some reason to what you said, like either 3 or 6, maybe make 2 variations. But then I don't know. My mind starts wondering, does it need to be an even number? Does it need to be 4 and just kind of put it right in the middle and there are 4 of them and you could have multiples? I don't know. What do you think?
Right. Let's throw a poll in the chat, you guys, and we'll narrow it down to these options here. To begin, 3 or 6. That's kind of what I was thinking originally. Then what about 4? What about 8? Is more better because you're like, I have a huge collection? Or do you want like 3 and then you can add a couple of them and stack them up together?
I
All
don't
right.
know.
So get those votes in. It's nice.
And
They're
G
starting to come
squared,
in.
yeah, to answer his question there about any exotic woods I haven't worked with yet, I have some red gum down or some purple heart downstairs that I want to work with, some red gum, and then the other one that I'm dying to do these bases out of is black palm. So
Ooh,
black palm is really neat. It has like, it's a light colored wood with like black variations in it and some
yeah,
black grain. It's really neat looking stuff. Um,
nice.
so I was going to grab some of that and mess with that too.
Okay. And Platinum Flow has a good point here. He said maybe a variety, maybe a few different ones. It is looking like they're pretty even, but 6 is kind of pulling away right now.
Maybe what we do too is we do a one that holds 3 and it holds them kind of diagonal side by side, similar layout here. And then the one that does 6, maybe we make that a deep display where it's they stack in front of each other and it's narrow and straight. So it comes out kind of along your counter away from the backsplash. And then you got one that holds 3 that kind of goes horizontal there, maybe.
Yeah. And especially if they can like work together, that would be super cool.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Super
what you
cool.
do. You embed little magnets into the sides so they can click together and you can
Oh
make
my
multiples.
gosh. That would be sick.
Oh, now we're talking.
All right. Rick has a question for you that I don't know how to pronounce. So I'm going to act like I'm just saying, hey, Rick has a question for you, Nick.
Babinga.
Babinga, baby.
Babinga.
Have you ever worked with it?
I have. I have worked with some Babinga. I think we even actually have a little downstairs. Oddly enough, Babinga was super pop. Not oddly enough, but Babinga was super popular down in Costa Rica. There's like mango and Babinga was like tons of stuff made out of it.
Okay.
That's what we got to do.
I've never even heard of
with
Babinga.
the CNC machine down there in Costa Rica and start sending him my patterns.
Oh my gosh, right?
I just wanted to get it a container of wood from down there. It's just you got to fill up a whole damn container of it to ship it. So it's like 25 grand to get wood from there.
And I can't even imagine. So that's my brain was already thinking about shipping. And like Kevin B says, how about one that stacks? That definitely could happen. The more you add, the more shipping, because this wood's heavy, like that's
the stack would be neat. It'd be like a little shelving system almost. I'd have to come up with.
And it'd have to fit perfectly, but you have machine crafted CNC. It could happen.
It definitely could happen. We'd have to think of what the supports would be that hold it vertically. Like each layer would come with like little click-in legs, so you could make like a 2-stack or a 3-stack. I was thinking that, and I was sitting there trying to think of how I would do it, and then I stopped reading things once I started thinking about it. So
right, Rick says that his Warwick base is made out of it.
Oh, sick, dude! That's got to be gorgeous,
right? And
send us an Instagram photo of that.
Oh, true. Dennis says you could do one that holds 6 on one side and then 3 on the other. Yeah, there's options.
Oh, like if you flip it. Oh, I see what you mean. So it could be like 3 underneath and 3 on top, and you almost like put the little slots in between the other ones so they could like double itself.
Depth. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Kind of like that.
Okay. Because then if you start with 3 and you grow your collection, you just
flip it over. I'd have to figure about how I bevel the corners and the edges.
Oh yeah,
because you have flat bottoms now and beveled tops.
Right.
Let me think about that one though, Dennis. That's not a bad idea. I like that one.
Yeah, as long as it's got the weight on it and it's on a surface, beveled both sides shouldn't be too much of a problem.
I like it. I like that.
And we have a comment here, you guys, from Banana Goat. He says, hey, Dan and Nick, I just got my order last week, first time, and I'd like everyone to know, suspense. There absolutely is a difference felt with Dr. Nick's. Love the face wash, beard wash, oils, and butter.
Dude, Banana Goat, thanks, man. That's awesome. You got like the full gamut there too. So that's huge feedback.
Yep. And he says, absolutely a difference felt with Dr. Nick's.
Is that a Great Dane you have sitting on the seat next to you in your truck?
Let me see.
Looks kind of like it.
Yeah, I can't
It
tell.
looks like it looks like a small horse is in your truck, so I have to assume it's a Great Dane.
Right. All right. So officially 6-1 by a healthy margin
Okay.
for the votes.
Well, that's encouraging in multiple ways.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't say
That's a good
one.
thing.
So,
I like
okay.
this. I'll get to work on it. Maybe
That's
by next
super
week
fun.
I'll have some preview renderings ready of the layout and we can talk about it.
And especially like holiday season, giving people gift ideas, buying things that you wouldn't buy for yourself. Right. I mean, that's to me the epitome of a gift.
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, BK, we showed your collection a little bit earlier. The one that Nick had said this looks better than most of our shop. Oh man, what am I blanking on?
Retailers.
The retailers, the wholesale accounts, and how they
Yeah.
display it. So
Dude.
that is super cool. And then G Squared says
he's 100% purebred good boy from the pound. I love it.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's cute. Nick, have you ever done any inlay work? He's got some custom knives that have really neat mix of wood and inlay work. He's got a William Henry as a groomsman gift about a decade ago.
Oh, William Henry makes some sweet stuff. And yes, I have messed with some inlays. I did the way I've been doing them, I'm not talented enough with a chisel to do much myself with inlays. But I'm a fix it till it's broken kind of person when it comes to that for some reason. Don't really know why. But I've had really good luck on the CNC. So it's pretty neat, actually. Like you can carve the female side of an inlay out of one piece of wood, and then out of a different kind of wood, cut the male piece of the inlay. And I figured out a really cool way to do it with V's instead of straight pockets. So that way you can get really sharp corners.
Oh,
and I did an inlay for Halloween last year on a big charcuterie board that had Michael Myers silhouette
I saw that.
Yeah, it was a walnut for his face inlaid to maple. And it even got like the little pieces of hair on his head in the inlay. It's like it's a level of detail you could never get like doing inlays by hand. So I blame it on that you can get more detail with it, not the fact that I'm not talented enough to do it. Which, I've convinced myself is true, so I'm totally okay with. Oh yeah, there he is. And guys, that was pulling apart the little the sample piece for it too. That was super cool, and how it comes out is really neat. Like those are the two pieces of wood pressed together. So you have the female on the bottom and the male inlay on the top, and then you basically just take that through a bandsaw and you slice the two apart. So I take it and kind of just slide this guy.
Hey, that's you.
Yeah. Hey, I know that guy. And oh, look at me, bad habits. I should have my beard up doing that. I can't use that thing now without my beard up. It'll like,
oh, I bet
it's a little too scary. So yeah, I slice through it, and once you get the two pieces cut apart, then it's just about flattening the wood down to the surface of the female part of the inlay, and it comes out so freaking cool, man. Like literally can inlay anything. I've done it now with vectors of people's logos for like the fire department when we did a table, but there you can kind of see the roughed out part of the image starts to show up.
Wow.
And then you take it from there and sand it, oil it, and the thing starts to look pretty cool. And then that guy was the one I did it on a full size board, and that I actually recorded like cutting out that male piece and getting all the detail and stuff into the hair. And that's what you take and then glue into this piece. And then you kind of get a view of the whole process, a little more sped up when I realized that the other one was way too long to watch. And then you get this guy.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, like it ends up looking so cool when you oil it. It just pops like crazy too.
Right.
And then like it's like boom.
I can see the end result, and I'm like, oh wow, that's beautiful. But then to think about all this is like, oh my goodness gracious, that is crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy process. It is. It's like it saves a lot of time. It gives you capabilities that you don't do, that you can't really get with physical manual work. But it's like your trading effort. You know what I mean? It's like, I think someone that was really good at it by hand could probably do one in a similar amount of time. But it's when you get into multiples of things, being able to repeat them the same way, that's where it really shines. It's like repeatability, because then the time you spend once saves you time later. But like doing the custom one-off stuff, I think you spend just as much time doing it automated as you do manually.
Right. Dial it in. Yep.
But
So cool.
oh, it's so much fun.
And again, guys, this is the Bigfoot Slabs account. I will put that link if you guys are into this kind of satisfying content, satisfying material. This is the page for you. And this, if you guys have been on the tour with us, this is the, would you call it the basement? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, the basement of the Dr. Nick's facility.
Yeah, that's it, man. Tom is down there cranking out this kind of stuff daily. He's still wrestling with a giant 12-foot by 6-foot conference table that we're making down there. It's the largest thing that's ever come out of our shop. So he's having quite the time wrestling with that guy.
Wow.
It's just a monster. It took 4 of us just to flip it over. I mean, the thing weighs like, just the top on it, I think weighs a little over 500 pounds. And you figure flipping something that's 12 feet long, it's like, whew.
Goodness. Now, was that the one that's been on there for a little while now?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's still on the operating table. It's like we had to call in our normal assistants from Wilson to come down and help with it, because even Tom being so tall, he can't even reach all the way across it with like the router to flatten it. So he's got to like hand it halfway across, and someone else grabs it and pulls it over to the other side and then pushes it back over to him.
That's so cool. So cool. And Banana Goat says, bless you, says, I just watched your tour yesterday and dove into the Instagram. I'm blown away with the detail and depth of work you guys do. And that's the beauty of live streams like this. That's the beauty of social media, is when you're doing great things, when you're doing it the right way, the challenge is, how do you give people a window, a glimpse into this real stuff, as compared to a lab that's just throwing in silicones and is along an automated line, and that the end result, you see bottles next to each other, let's say beard oils. It might look like a similar thing. It may look like it came from a similar location, but you dive into the Dr. Nick's Instagram, you dive into the Bigfoot Slabs, and you realize like, oh, this is a very, very, very different thing. And that's literally one of the reasons this show was created, was for me, as someone that was an outsider to Dr. Nick's just over a year ago, hearing these things, seeing these things, I'm like screaming at Nick and Jill, like, this needs to get out there. People need to hear this. People need to see the depth of the details that this company does. And you should hear these conversations that Nick and Jill have. It's so amazing. So Banana Go, thank you for checking that one out. And thank you guys for being here. That right there is the goal of this and all of this.
That's it, man. And when Dan told us that too, you guys got to realize, like, I didn't think anything we were doing was that interesting. Like, he's like, take pictures when you do that. I'm like, really? People are going to want to see that?
Yeah.
And it's been interesting because I guess, it's always just kind of been us doing our thing. And as things developed here, it just kind of became part of like normal everyday life,
Right.
We didn't think anything we were doing was that interesting that people would want to see any of it. So hearing you guys say that, like, you find it interesting and you think it's cool and you want to see more of it, that's like, it's incredibly encouraging, just because, we never thought of ourselves as doing anything that was worthy of even putting photos out there for it.
Yeah, there's a bittersweet angle to that concept, and then I'll explain what I mean. And Banana goes, super kind, man. Thanks for the kind words, there, Nick. No, that means a lot. And it's a bittersweet concept because there's a lot of companies and a lot of people, whether it's a beard product content creator or a beard product company, that get born from within the community and within inspiration. They watch videos, they watch channels, and they decide, hey, I love this. I love them, like, with all respect in the world. And they say, I'm going to start making videos. I want to make my own beard company. The bittersweet side to that is, almost always when that's the case, they work within a box of everything that they've seen and consumed and learned over the years of watching. And so that's the only angle that they know. And so they're able to do things in their own way a little bit. They're able to do things in a spinning kind of unique way a little bit, but they're still within this box. You guys, or people that are in similar situations, you were not inspired from this box. You were not born from watching channels and coming up through the community. You were literally separate, had no concept that all of this existed. And so you developed your own methods, your own procedures. And dare I say, what Banana Goat said earlier, you developed the Dr. Nick's difference without realizing there was a difference out there, without
Nope.
realizing there were other procedures. And as I started to see that and started to realize how unique they were, and I didn't know at first. You guys can ask Nick when he first approached me. He's like, "Hey, you want to do this? Want to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, cool, man. Sounds good. You got to." I get 2 to 3 companies that reach out a day, not in like a cocky way. It's just that's the reality of it. And then it's like, okay, yeah, you got beard products, got a website. And he's like, what do I got to do to get on a phone call with you? And so we made it work. And I was just like, literally that first call was like, whoa, okay, all right. There's something different here. Yeah, there is something different here. And it was really cool to see how that developed. Now, there are some challenges
Oh yeah,
come with being outside of
I
the
wouldn't
industry
recommend doing it this way.
that's why I'm saying, like, I hope there's no negative lines or veins taken from this, because there's a lot of challenges. And there was another company I just reviewed recently I was talking to, and there was a lot of constructive criticism, but they similarly had taken pride in doing things, what they said, within a vacuum, that they didn't want to see all this stuff that's on the outside. And I was like, well, hey, you should probably do this, 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 and this, and this. And they're like, shoot, we didn't know that. Kind of the growing pains that happen. But because of that, you guys have developed such a unique system for creating products, for customer service, for just the way you go about your stuff. And I'm not saying to anybody that it's better, it's worse, it's this, that. It's just, it literally is different and unique. And as I started to see this, I just was like, please get this out there. And again, being humble, being a great person. They're like, huh? And even with the stream, Nick's like, I don't know, man. I don't really know about this. I'm like, at first, I was like every other day, I'm like, take pictures. They're like, hey, we're gonna be filling some butters. Take pictures. Hey, we're gonna be take pictures. And they're like a peek into Nick's mind is like, why? Why would people want to see this? Why would people want to hear this? And then I think you guys start to slowly realize, oh, there's a difference. And then you guys start to see this stuff, and you guys start to realize all of these different things. And it's so cool to see how people start finding them. And Jill says she has 100 photos to upload. That's like Christmas right there. It's beautiful. Love that.
She does. She has quite the stock right now.
Heck yeah. So just with all that said, it is really cool. And for you guys to like point out things, to say like, hey, I just tried your products and I'm now experiencing the Dr. Nick's difference, stuff like this. I felt the difference. Like, man, there's something to that. There really is. And Justin says he has to be in Boston next week for a few days. Does Dr. Nick's have a shop? By the way, he took the leap and have my first Dr. Nick's oil, butter, and beard wash here on his desk.
Dude, right on. And yes, shoot us a note at customer service at drnicks.com. We'd be happy to set up a time with you and show you around. We don't have a retail spot yet. We have a showroom. We had to put it a little bit on hold just because we got busy with other stuff. And oddly enough, flooring is what's kicking our ass right now. So we're dealing with that. And then so soon, yes, you can swing by anytime and check out the retail shop and the display, the showroom, as it were. But as of now, shoot us a note. Customer service, drnicks.com. Let us know what your schedule looks like, and we will let you know how we can line something up.
Super cool. Super cool. Now, did not plan this, but that seems like a perfect segue. That is customer service at drnicks.com. People wanting to see you guys and see everything. That to me is customer service. What I wanted to talk about today is I get to hear from both sides. And this is a unique position that not a lot of people are in. I get to hear from the company in stories of customer service, good and bad. I get to, and hello to everybody coming in, man. Thank you so much, from Ruben to Ellie to Tynamo to E, some familiar faces that we haven't seen in a bit, some faces that are here every week. Thank you guys so much. As you guys are coming in, if you want to hit that thumbs up, that would be amazing. Appreciate you guys. But I hear these stories from consumers and from companies, good, bad, other, when it comes to customer service. And it's very interesting. I hear a lot of stories. Now, I will say, I like to hear the positive ones. I really like to hear the ones that I'm start out and someone's like, hey man, I want to reach out. I had an experience with Dr. Nick's. And then it's like, oh, here we go. What's going on? Because there's another strange thing with me is oftentimes people feel comfortable talking to me, and they'll come to me with their complaints before they come to the company.
Yep.
And they'll explain something. I'm like, well, did you give them a chance to make it right? Did you talk to them? No, I'm just kind of venting to you. And then I kind of explain like how amazing these companies are. But I love it when they're like, hey, I had this issue. I approached Dr. Nix, and you won't believe what happened. And I'll start off with just a couple examples. And I would love to hear from you guys and girls in the chat some
Oh, yeah.
positive customer service stories, not just Dr. Nix. It can be anything. It could be your local restaurant. It can be an online company. It could be anything. Please drop those in the chat. But the ones I like is I've had several people that have reached out to me and they're like, hey, man, I just got to share my experience with Nick. I'm like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Not that I've heard anything bad, but I know there's a lot of crazy people out there. And so a common theme that I've heard, and this is, I don't even know how it's humanly possible, is I had an issue and then all of a sudden my phone was ringing and it was Nick, the owner, the CEO of the company, talking to me about my order. Some guy recently was like, hey, I'm in another country for whatever reason. The website wouldn't take my address. Nick called me. He made a custom order. He filled this out and was able to help me out on the phone. Or somebody said, hey, like, I had a question about products and I actually got to speak to him. Or, hey, I was in town. They arranged their schedule to show me around. Or, hey, there was like a mistake and I offered to like do this or that. And they were like, no questions asked, boom, boom, boom. And it's just like this flood of positive stories that people decide in their mind, I'm going to go out of my way to go tell Dan how blown away I am with this positive experience. And it's so amazing, right? So amazing. And I love it. And I do want to say, Donald says I'm guilty of this with Dan. I don't ever want that to stop. I like being the safe place. I am the same kind of way where I don't like complaining to companies. I don't like doing that, but sometimes you just got to get it off your chest, or maybe somebody has some insight that you don't. So that's not in a complaint whatsoever. Keep those coming as well. And so, yes, it is. Ben says auto customers. Don't they know I'm listening to this stream? I wouldn't give that as customer service as a response to them, but I love it. But Nick, as we start to get some generating in the chat here, do you have anything that stands out to you from the Dr. Nick side, or even from your personal side where you're like, I had this experience with customer service and something kind of stands out to you?
Okay. So I got some stories that are, specific to us.
Yep.
And then I have a ton of stories that I thought of for other customer service. But I thought of probably the funniest one that it'll just be a good break, and it's interesting, I think, and people might find it cool. I have a cybersecurity / ransomware / Russian terrorist gang customer service story to share that is extremely positive, and I think everyone will find it really amusing.
Okay.
So we'll get into all of those, but I think what stands out to me the most with customer service, I guess, is that, there's this saying in a lot of industries, and I always joke around, and I use collaboration software like Zoom and WebEx and GoToMeeting and Teams as an example. Like all those softwares suck in their own way, and I always joke around saying that in order to be successful in that space, you don't have to be good. You just have to suck less than your competition. And I honestly feel like with customer service that so many people put such little effort into it that
Right.
You actually don't have to go to do anything crazy to appear as exceptional. Like,
right.
And so I say that, I guess, to say this: it's not that we aren't putting in our all for customer service. We do. But at times, based on people's feedback, what they say back to us, how surprised they are at the things that we do with customer service, I would have to venture to say that you actually wouldn't have to be great in order to really stand out as being something special with customer service, because so many people just think of it as an afterthought. They have your money. They don't care if they're going to get it again. You're a small number in a huge book of business. And
Ooh.
I think what's immediately apparent to people with working with us, good or bad, is that you're not a small number as part of a large number in a huge book of business. Every single one of our orders is extremely valuable to us. And I think that shows when someone has a question, or maybe they want to like, I'll give you an example, and I'm looking at one right here. Someone sent us an email and they wanted to return. They wanted to get a refund. They didn't ask for an exchange. They didn't, they said they didn't like the product they got. It didn't work for them, and they wanted a refund. And so, if I have the time, when people want a refund, I'll oftentimes reach out through email and say, "Hey, happy to do that, but is there something else we could maybe send you that you'd like better?" And if I have the time to do it, or someone seems like they're upset and I don't feel like email is the appropriate mode of communication to try to understand how they're feeling and how to make the situation better, I'll pick up the phone and call. And if I get someone and they're able to answer, like this person was able to, he actually had an issue with number 7 because he was allergic to pine. He didn't think about how, if he was allergic to pine, how our citrus and pine oil would react negatively to him, because we use all natural botanicals. So if you're allergic to a botanical and one of our scents smells like it, chances are it's in it and you will have a reaction, right? That's the good and the bad of all natural products.
Right.
So we figured out that was his issue. And we talked about maybe wanting to try number 0. And through talking to him, he says, well, the problem I really have is, like, whenever I use any beard oil, it's like by the end of the day, I'm dry, I'm flaky, my skin is super dry. I also get, lots of irritation at the base of the hair follicles. And so we started talking a bit, and it turned out that he was using the same shampoo, which in this case was Head and Shoulders, on his beard as he was using on his hair. And I said, well, your problem might be starting in the shower, dude. Like, maybe not necessarily after the shower. Like, why don't we address it? And he's like, I appreciate I appreciate it. And even in his email, when he responded here, I thought about your offer, and although I appreciate it, I'm not comfortable buying more products from a company who didn't work for me initially. I think I'd still like to stick to the refund. So now I'm determined. I'm like, this guy has a problem that he's never going to solve with any conditioning product if he doesn't fix the root of this issue.
Facts.
So I reached back out to him and I said, listen, I'm not trying to be a pain in the ass here. And I'm, again, totally happy to issue you a refund, not trying to talk you out of it, but I genuinely think you have another issue going on here. I'd like to send you a sample of our wash and our conditioner, both unscented, and an unscented oil. And I'd like you to try it for a week. If you still have the issues, reach back out. I'll cover the shipping and I'll give you a refund, and we can go our separate ways. So he agreed, sent it out, and I got an email back a week later saying, holy crap, I've never had someone go this far above and beyond to fix an issue that they didn't cause. I 100% have 0 issues now with my face. No dry skin, no flakes, no red, no irritation, and you've gained a customer for life. And this is someone who isn't part of this community, right? And there's someone that came to us from Google, and they didn't know really who we are, and they didn't expect this level of customer service. But it's that kind of thing. I think that is an above and beyond extreme case, I think, right? And that just goes to show that this guy, we didn't know him. He wasn't part of this community. It's not like I was concerned about Instagram feedback or anything else. I just wanted to make sure that someone that I thought could be a happy user of our products was.
But
I mean, and I think that's where we really go above and beyond, is we try to not just look at the issue. And I guess when you're really involved and you're really committed to doing the right thing, it causes you to do this. Kind of look this way, look that way. Like, what else could be going on here? Like, not how do I get this person out of my inbox? It's how do I get this person to the point where they're happy and they're going to become a raving fan? And we try to do that with every single email. So I guess we'll look at the chat here for, get some input. But I guess if I had to give one kind of overarching concept here, our goal, Jill and I, and this is why it's going to be so hard to get someone to work with us on customer service and really, try to take some of the load off of us as we grow. We want to make every request that comes through email that is either a refund, an exchange, a problem. It is our goal to change every single one of those people into repeat customers, not a happy customer with one purchase that's not going to complain about us, which I think is most companies' goals. We want to make that person so happy that not only do they not want the refund or not stand behind the complaint, they become a fan. They start buying, they start coming back. They start talking about what we did to make their situation right. And I think those testimonials are more powerful than hey, I saw these guys, everyone loves them, I love them too. I like the story of, hey, I found these guys, I tried them, wasn't happy, and I reached out to them, and here's what happened. Like those are the stories I really, really like. So I think if you have the goal that like not fixing issues, but turning people into happy repeat customers, regardless of the type of email they send you, I think if you have that mentality, it changes the way you do customer service.
For sure. And I think a lot of companies, like you said, it's just a number. It's just they're not concerned about that. Whatever. On to the next one. They're missing opportunities to understand, which I would guess in that situation, there's some of this that happened as well. That email that you got the first time or even the second time is getting to you in the state of mind in which that person was in at that time.
Yeah.
Who knows if it was a rough day? Who knows if they didn't get a lot of sleep? Who knows if they got in an argument? They are heightened, right? They're sending that. And then a week later, they came back with just beautiful humility. And I love that line. They had the awareness to think and say, you guys, I want to give you credit for fixing a problem that you did not cause. They were asking for a refund. And then it switches to them saying, thank you for fixing a problem you did not cause. How many customer service calls go that way? I'm going to tell you it's a very low number, a very, very low number where the person who is requesting a refund says, thank you for fixing a problem that you did not cause. When in a world of wanting to put blame and wanting to deflect and not own your own user, I posted about this the other day. I had reviewed a trimmer and a guy was like, this is the worst thing ever. It butchered my beard. I'll never use this again. And it's like,
Ooh.
How do I say user error is a real thing, right? That it wasn't
Right.
the tool that butchered your beard, it was you, and it's so hard to kind of deliver that. And you have that same challenge. You have the challenge of being like, I know this isn't our problem. I know this isn't our product, but how can I frame this in a way that's going to help this guy? And when you really think about it, you literally have helped that guy change his appearance, his feel, his confidence for as long as he keeps a beard. Literally.
I think I saved a beard. I mean,
Yeah.
that beard, I think based on how that guy was feeling and the frustration he had, that beard would have been in a sink. It wasn't going well for him.
Yeah. I've never
His
heard
beard
this.
journey was a beard nightmare.
Right. And how many guys have started with Head and Shoulders and stuff like that? Yeah.
Oh, dude, so many, I'm sure.
So many. And JT Steve put this beautifully here. If this is like a common saying, I've never heard it, but man, this should be on a billboard. Customer service is listening, letting people vent, and then finding a solution.
Yep.
Right.
And you're
how many
absolutely
times-
right.
Yeah.
And there's an old sales motto that goes into that, actually. Growing up in a sales family, of course, my dad being a sales trainer, I was basically in sales training my entire life growing up, and I got the things that he used to say in classes to me at the dining room table. And feel, felt, found is like the main way to like be able to, be a better salesman, be a better customer service person. You need to relate to how someone feels. You need to talk about a situation where you felt the same way and discover with them what you found the solution to be, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're not saying you have this, you have that, you should do this. It's like, you're experiencing this. I've also had something that made me feel like that. And here's what I did to fix it. And then they're relating to a story for you. And you kind of make it a little less personal, and you make it so the conviction can't really be behind it. And you can oftentimes get people to relate a lot better that way.
Yeah, and the key thing here, the enemy of all of this is ego and defense.
Oh,
How
yeah.
many people get somebody lashing out at them, even when it's irrational, even when they're angry, they're lashing out at them just to immediately, while the person is venting and talking and being probably ridiculous, right? They're already forming their defense. They're already forming their comeback, that one-line zinger that they're going to have. And they're already going to go brag to their friends about how they turned this Karen away and they did this and that. And again, they missed those opportunities, and almost always has nothing to do with you or your products. It's almost always something else going on with them.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is that like what the real opportunity that I'm bummed people miss there is the people that complain the loudest are typically usually the people also that sing your praises the loudest too. They're usually just very emotional people who are outgoing, and they want people to know their experience, good or bad. And so chances are, if you take one of those people, like one of those Karens, and you turn them into a happy customer, and they know they're difficult. Don't think that those people don't know they're difficult people. So in their mind, if you turn them around, even they realize like, well, shit, if they could turn my mind around, like this place must really be doing something good. I need to tell everybody about it. I think that's where a lot of that missed opportunity goes too.
For sure. Man, I love all of this. This is like inspiring. I think it's good for me to hear. I mean, if you can translate customer service to communication relationships or relationship communications, the way you interact with people. And I just think about my interactions with companies, and this is crazy. I was just talking to Sam about this last night. I think a lot of company owners in the small batch world get so defensive because this is their baby.
Because it's so personal.
Yeah, it's
you're calling their baby ugly if you send them something saying you don't like the scent.
Yeah, and think about how many businesses the owner is kind of detached from the product, detached from the situation, right?
Until he's not at the wrong times.
Exactly. And so when you catch this owner, you reach out and say, "Hey, this stuff is crap." They immediately are like, I know it's not crap. I made this. This is my baby. I put this much time, this much effort. You didn't do anything. You're sitting on your couch writing an email." And they immediately start getting defensive when the much better for everybody. Literally, there's no positive in that other than maybe a momentary like boost of adrenaline and serotonin of like getting in that conflict, Nobody else benefits from it, no long-term benefit. But if you just allow it, just let it happen, just understand it doesn't have anything to do with me. Those are people you want on your team, is exactly like you're saying. When they're loud, when they're passionate, when they're emotional, there's a flip. There's another side to that coin. There's positive emotions. There's supportive emotions. They're just charged people. And I'm in the same boat. Like mine, I don't know if it would be called customer service, but I have people come at me all the time. I try to go with kindness. And oftentimes I very, very, very welcome the comeback and the comeback in, whether it's an apology or whether it's just starting to work together. I never want to shun those people. I never want to make them feel bad because oftentimes that mindset in which they delivered the message doesn't last. And if you keep that, if you attach that mindset to them as permanent or as who they are, you're never going to let them come back. And so when they do come back, you got to make sure you have humility. You got to make sure that you're understanding with sympathy and you allow that relationship to build again. Because you could have been immediately like to that guy and been like, "No, I know it's not our stuff. It's Head and Shoulders, you dummy. Like, fine, I don't want your business anyway. Like, you're not smart." But that's not true. That's not the actual case. You don't know until you know. And so, man, that's one heck of a story. Love that. Yeah,
well, Brennan's actually a really good example too of someone that, we've gone, he says he's had people get frustrated with him over the phone and things like that. He had an issue where something in our carrier, he was getting a weird off-putting smell from it with his beard. And we were like, well, wonder if it's an only of that bottle kind of thing, but it ended up being multiple scents. And then he tested it on his wife and his kid, and the scent wasn't there at all. On his skin, he got the smell. On them, he didn't. On one of his kids, he did. The other one, he didn't. And his wife didn't experience it at all. So we chalked it up to be a skin chemistry issue. There's still plenty of stuff that he likes. There's things that work. But literally, we went back and forth with tons of emails with him about, okay, well, let's figure this out. Is it something that doesn't work for you? Is it something that's just you? Is it something that's in the batch? Like, let's figure it out. And he was like, wow, I didn't even want to say anything because I thought maybe other people had the problem too, but I figured they would have said something by now. But, I wanted to reach out, but I love you guys, so I didn't want to offend anybody. He was super cool about the way he reached out, and we received it very well. And Jill and I went back and forth with him for the better part of a week trying to figure it out and testing. It's like, and here he is, and here we are, right? We talked about an issue and we figured out what we thought was the best outcome and solution for it.
Oh, I love that. And let's pop into the chat here for a few things. Leo's just kind of putting the nail into the board for this last one. He said he worked for a man whose name was on the door and his products were known by name in the industry. Right, like you said, you're attached to it. You're known by, well, Dr. Nick's, right? You are Nick, same kind of thing. And his customer service was based on that same view. His name was at stake, so fix it. That's a great way to
That's a super good way to fix it. I mean, that's a super good way to look at it.
Yeah, as long as you're thinking about it from the lens of like me, like I got to fix it rather than like the customer. But I think that's where he's going there.
So, yeah, no, 1,000%, man.
Awesome. And E says, I work in customer service on a daily basis. 80% is repeating customers because they love our service. He remodels homes. Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. I mean, that speaks to it, right? The people that you're dealing with, Most of them are people that come to you and come back to you for things. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't you do everything in your power to make them right? You don't want to drop that number to 70% because you had a bad discussion.
Right, right. And BK has a good point here too, because I do want to put a little perspective out there, because I think some people might be saying like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but, and here's a good example. He said, my best customer service experience comes from tech companies. Bought a high-end mouse that had a defective scroll wheel, was sent a new one immediately, had it happen with a headset too. Now, if I'm going to be devil's advocate, there would be people that would say, well, yeah, obviously you're going to have good customer service from big companies. They have customer service people dedicated. That's their job. They don't have to approve. They don't have to think about money. It's not their money. They get to say, oh, you got something broken? Immediately send it fixed. No worries. Where if you're dealing with somebody whose name's on the door, if you're dealing with a small batch company, they see those negative numbers, right? They see the hit of the money that actually means something. So maybe they are more inclined to be defensive. Maybe they are more inclined to not just say, hey, this company, that doesn't even phase them, doesn't even hurt them. However, you want to try and remove that immediate thought. I love the saying of don't trip over dollars chasing pennies. And if you are so concerned about that one beard oil loss, that one beard oil return, you're losing the opportunity to have a customer for life that's going to buy 10, 20, 100 oils over that period, as long as you go with that good customer service ahead.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yep. And
I know speaking of good customer service stories for other companies, it's a perfect segue into my funny story.
Yeah.
You guys will never guess the best customer service I've experienced myself, probably in the past 24 months, has been from a brutally malicious ransomware gang that operates with state sponsorship out of Russia. It's actually a global group now called Black Cat.
Let me get comfy here.
And this group Black Cat has been responsible for, oh, there you go, got the blankie. And we got, like, you know, if you look at probably 10 out of 15 of the big headline ransomware Fortune 500 hacks, Black Cat's been behind them. And so there I am, big insurance provider, we'll say, here in the Northeast. They reached out, you know, they had a ransomware issue, $10 million ransom on the table, and they're out of business while they're locked up. And so we get the ransom note from the attackers. We see who it is. So we give their negotiator a call and we start talking about the ransom. And I call up and I get this woman, perfect English, no accent. You know, thanks for calling. How can I help you? And I said, hey, we have a ransom note here from you. You guys have encrypted all of our systems and are demanding a $10 million ransom. And she says, oh, okay. Can I have your ransom note ID, please? And I was like, okay, gave it to her. And she's like, yeah, I see you right here. And that does look to be the situation. So how can I help you today? And I was like, well, you could unlock our systems for starters. And she's like, well, that's going to be 10 million bucks, but how can I help you get there?
Whew.
And I was like, okay, and started going through it. And I said, you know, everyone's obviously emotions are high. She's like, well, I understand emotions are probably high and you probably have your attorneys and a cyber insurance company involved. Just so you know, I'm going to give you my direct number. I'm going to give you a ticket ID. I'm happy to help you with any questions you might have during the ransom negotiation process. And literally the friendliest, most matter-of-fact person that I've dealt with in years, like better customer service than you'd get calling your cable or phone company, was coming from someone who was extorting us for $10 million. And so it ended up being a crazy process. They negotiated it down to $5 million and they took it, they paid it. And what was crazy is that when it was over, she called me back directly and she's like, hey, I just wanted to make sure everything was getting restored. Okay. She's like, just so you know, we do have a tech response team available. If anything doesn't unencrypt like it's supposed to, we can give you the support you need. Before you pay the ransom, they give you a contract saying they won't reinfect you through even if they have a different mode of access for a period of a certain number of months. So they have like a contract that they sign with you as a malicious actor. And it was just one of those things where it stood out as just being the funniest thing in the world. I'm like, here's someone who's literally extorting you for money. And even they are concerned about the way they talk to people, because if they don't negotiate properly, they won't get their money. And it's just like, the fact that it's such a huge operation where they've
Right.
gone and got people at this caliber to handle their phones is just, it blew me away.
Yeah, and like Diablo and everyone's like 5 million. I'm assuming that's kind of
Oh,
normal. Like,
yeah, that's low. I mean,
Yeah.
for what the ones I deal with, I mean, we just, look at the one that's out there in Vegas right now with MGM. That's a $15 million ransom. Caesars just paid an undisclosed amount for theirs. Everyone thinks it's over 20, and they cashed out and paid it right away. But look at the nerve on these people, like going after casinos and stuff. Now, those
Yeah.
are all run by the mob. And I mean, these
Right.
guys are like, nah, we don't care.
Yeah.
Give us 20 million.
That's Russia. Like they
don't care.
Like, yeah,
They
they're
don't
like
care.
mobs in America. Funny. Like,
Yeah, they're like, oh, you guys are cute.
yeah, exactly.
Your mobs don't even have intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Oh, yeah. Like, oh, you guys don't have bomber. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. No.
You guys still use guns. It's cute.
That's hilarious. Now and I know we're getting close here, guys, and thank you so much for all your comments and adding in on the chat. I have a similar one that's was the least expected good customer service experience, and they went above and beyond. You guys know my dishwasher story, most of you. We went through a month of hell with our dishwasher going out. Local company was horrific.
God,
They're still horrific. Skip them. But we go with Home Depot to get it installed. They come out, can't install it, had to bring out a plumber. All right, plumber comes out, then the third crew comes out, they can't install. Oh my gosh. Then they come out, they can't install it, but we'll do it under the table, but still in the name of Home Depot. Okay, they do it. It's not right. They unattach it, throw a hissy fit. They didn't attach the water. I'm live streaming. Water's coming down from the ceiling. Crazy. Horrible experience. Had to have a contractor come out, replace ceiling tiles, drill in the wall, all that stuff. Okay. Unbelievably terrible every step along the way with Home Depot until we get to the point where now we got to deal with their claims department because we have a lot of damage to the house. And so we take pictures of everything. We get an invoice from our contractor. We send it over. It's a legit invoice, nothing like extra and all that stuff. Real deal. And the lady's super nice the entire time, taking the whole story like, oh man, oh my, and you had kids. Oh, there was a tornado warning. Oh my gosh, I feel so bad. Oh my God, like going through the whole way, just amazing. All right, send this over. Okay, send the invoice. I get a call, the final call, and says, hi, Dan, we've reviewed everything and we are going to offer this to you. What do you think about us paying your invoice in full? Will that do it? Will that get the job done? And it's like, yes, that's what I was hoping for. Yes. And they were like, okay, the check is in the mail. It'll be on its way. And it's like, that was easy. Like, thanks. Like, and they're like, is that enough? What you asked for, is that enough? And it's like, yeah, it is.
The crazy part is, though, look at how that happened. Like, they could have, I just still feel like they dropped the ball, right? Because like, look at the opportunity they had to like sit there, listen, make you feel heard, and then on that call, tell you what they were going to do and resolve it for you, right? But it was like the notes got back, it went through the big company machine, and next thing you know, you get this random email, we'll pay your invoice in full. Is that good enough? You know what I mean? Like, you should be delivering that with like a bow wrapped on it.
Right.
You're like, hey, don't normally do this, but hey, I really went to bat for you here. Right. Here's what I can do. At least make you feel good about it. That way they were like, okay, is this good enough to make you stop bugging us? All right, bye.
Yeah. And
it's like, it was good and bad.
For sure. And I guess the good came from a month of hell and like the worst of the worst. And so it was like a little
What's a sunny day without a cloudy day, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, okay, but then for sure, there's opportunities there. They are a large company. They could have done more, but it's like, that experience is going to be in my mind associated with that company forever. That local company that I won't even name, that is in my mind forever. And a lot of you gave good points. You're like, I like to go to the company first before a bad review. I like to do this. Yeah, all of that matters. And man, so many good stories. And I know the kind words that you guys had about Dr. Nick's and about their customer service means a lot to Nick and to a lot to Jill. So thank you guys for saying all those kind things.
It's huge, man. It keeps us going. Just keep giving us the opportunity to do the right thing, and we will keep doing it. I guess that's the end of this story. I know we're hitting a time here, but
love it. Absolutely love it.
That's really the message, man. And it's, we're here to do the right thing. We'll never let you guys down. And like I say, if anything ever does go sideways, please don't feel like, hey, just because we've talked a lot and you come to the streams, you don't want to appear as a complainer.
Right.
I think that's the only downside of the community we've built here, is that you guys, you like us so much that you're afraid to tell us when we do something wrong sometimes.
For
and
real.
it does come through. So please just, straight from the horse's mouth here. You're never going to hurt our feelings with that, especially when it's constructive and you come to us and allow us to provide you a solution. So just because we normally do things right, please don't feel like if we do something wrong, you can't tell us. That's how we get better.
Yes, and my final kind of cap on that. So we had to have the board replaced below our sink because there was water damage and was literally like a bowl, like it was waterlogged so bad. And so my contractor, very good buddy of mine, came over, did it. Well, when he was working with stuff, something happened, and just the attachment of the water line up at the faucet came a little bit loose. And so water on the new board was dripping, and we didn't realize it. It dripped overnight. It like stained it, left some pretty nasty little rings. There was a little bit of mold. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we went through this month of hell. And then the contractors were so nice, came out so quickly. And then we have this little thing, and I'm like, I don't want to say anything. This is my buddy. This like, it's so frustrating. And then Sam's like, we got to say something. They should want to know. And so I reached out to him and told him, and he was like, and I'm like, I feel so bad, man. He's like, dude, thank you for giving me the chance to make this right. I didn't want that lingering over your head and you thinking about me in that way of something I didn't know. He's like, I really want to say thank you for telling me and giving me that chance. Always let me know. I'll never take it as a complaint. And that sounds exactly where you're at with this kind of situation.
1,000%, man. Yep.
It's
absolutely
perfect. All right, guys. Tuesday next week, 1 p.m. Eastern, we're going to talk about collections. We're going to talk about product storage. What about essential oils, clear bottles, all the questions you guys may have about expirations of beard products and shelf life. Let's dive into it, and also just have a little bit of fun showing off some beautiful collections out there. And a reminder, Dr. Nix will be on Command's Corner on the Dan C. Bearded YouTube channel on Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Let's kick off the official kind of start of beard season and the fall and the crisp in the air. And Monday, 9 p.m. Nick, got any last words for our friends here?
No, man, let's do it. I'm pumped. Next Monday, see you guys there. As usual, you guys always come out in force for Command's Corner. We very much appreciate all the love. And then for anyone we missed Monday night, we'll see you right back here on Tuesday. So thanks for coming, and keep the customer service emails coming. Make sure Joel doesn't get bored down there.
No doubt.